Yeah, I don't really know where to start with this video, but I guess I'll just give us some context to the video, I guess. Um, I've been getting right back into Destiny 2 around this time of the season of the Drifter. I don't have the annual pass, but I've been grinding for like the Lunas Howl, getting to 2100, the Recluse, and all that. And I've just started to notice how there are a lot of issues with Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is in a good place, but it could be better. It could always be better. There's always improvements, and Bungie is in kind of a weird spot right now because sorry, they're in a weird spot because they just split with Activision like a couple months ago, and they're taking a whole lot of feedback about stuff like Infusion, Crucible, because there's recently stuff about rumors spreading that Crucible is not going to be in D3, which I'm pretty sure it is, but maybe not in the same way. They're in a very, very weird state right now where I think they kind of need our criticism and our praises and stuff like that. What I think can improve the game so that it turns into like a labor of love. And I don't know how many parts this episodic thing is going to be, what I'm calling Destiny 2 criticism, but maybe 9-10 parts, and this first one I'll be delving into Destiny 2's weapon system. So just to give a little background behind Destiny 2's weapon system and how it's in such an odd, kind of flawed state. So when it first released, vanilla, just year one, back in 2017, back in 2017 September, there was double primary. There was a primary in your kinetic slot, and there was a primary in your energy slot. And primaries were pulse rifles, auto rifles, hand cannons, sidearms, that kind of stuff. And then in the third slot, there was the power slot. And that had fusions, trace rifles, shotguns, snipers, rocket launchers, grenades, linear fusion rifles, and machine guns. Well, not yet, and there weren't machine guns until which would be Black Armory, which is season 5, I think, season 5. There wouldn't be machine guns until season 5, so just need to exclude that. And everyone knew it was majorly flawed because it basically just gutted out everything that was fun from Destiny 1. It just wasn't that good. And yeah, just to give you a little context. So back in vanilla, there was a primary weapon in your kinetic slot, and it had no elemental burn on it. Your second slot was an elemental primary, which did have a burn on it. And then your third slot was a power slot, which had like snipers, shotguns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, stuff like that. And nobody liked it, and so with the release of Forsaken in September 2018, they changed it. And how they kind of change it is it's odd. It's kind of like the D1 system, the old original Destiny system, but you can have a secondary or a primary in the first slot, a secondary or a primary in the second slot, or a heavy weapon in the third slot. So like in the first and the second slot, you can have a shotgun, a sniper, an auto rifle, a hand cannon. Excuse me. You can have a pulse rifle. You can sometimes have a grenade launcher and stuff like that. And in the second slot, it's the same thing, but they have elements on them. And in the third slot, they took out all the shotguns and snipers from the third slot and the fusion rifles, and they put them between the first and the second slot, except for certain few, which I'm not going to delve into. That's more complicated than these two. There's the rocket launchers and the grenade launchers and swords, and then machine guns later on in the third slot. So that's kind of like a brief history of the D1 system. It's not that complicated if you delve into it a little bit more. If you played Destiny 2, you understand. But it kind of sounds complicated when I talk about it. But what I propose is that the D2 system be reverted back to the D1 system. So, primary in the first slot, secondary in the second slot, heavy in the third slot. So in the first slot you have hand cannons, you have pulse rifles, auto rifles, that stuff. And in the secondary slot you have snipers, shotguns, sidearms, SMGs, I'll get into that later. And then in the third slot you have rocket launchers, grenade launchers, linear fusion rifles, grenade launchers, and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm proposing, and I'll get into it. I'll get into why in a second, but yeah, that's what I'm proposing. Now there's numerous reasons why I believe the D1 system should be brought back. For one, I feel like it's more limiting. The D2 system, I feel like this D2 system right now is more limiting than it was back in D1. And I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. So let's say in my secondary slot, I'm going to use the Nation of Beast hand cannon with a curated role. So outlaw, dragonfly, that stuff. Let's say that I use that. But now, the problem is I'm limited on the types of secondary primaries I want to use, because I don't want to use a double primary. I don't like double primary. Double primary isn't fun. It's just not fun. It's just kind of devoid. So I want to use a secondary. But the problem with secondaries is that there are more secondaries in the elemental slot than in the kinetic slot. So you're basically limited on how many shotguns you can use in the top, or snipers. And there's not even fusion rifles in the top slot either, which is another big problem. And I just feel like it's just not viable, and it's just confusing more than it needs to be. And I know you may say, just use the threat level, use like another shotgun that's like a rapid frame. But that's kind of a bigger issue. It's kind of a bigger issue because I feel like it's more of a grind. And I know that may sound counterintuitive because Destiny is a grindy game. But if you want to have two god roll shotguns, if you want to use like a hand cannon in the second slot, or a hand cannon in the first slot, and you want to interchange, you're going to have to get two good rapid fire shotguns. You're going to have to get a threat level on the top with the Icolos, with the trench barrel. Yeah, I'm stupid. With a trench barrel on the grave robber. And then you're also going to have to grind for the Icolos shotgun. And that just seems counterintuitive, when if it was the Destiny 1 system, all you have to do is grind for either or. And I just don't get it. And that sort of leads into the bigger issue, which is there's not enough guns. Like, if you compared the ratio of shotguns in the secondary slot to shotguns in the primary slot, it's very, very little. There are very few shotguns in the primary slot. And there are very few snipers in the top slot either. It's kind of limiting in your options. Because if there's a good, primaries in the secondary slot that you have, you're kind of just bottlenecking yourself. You're kind of intentionally handicapping yourself. And so that's why I kind of believe that we should go back to the D1 system. So if I want to use, an Ico shotgun and my Nation of Beasts, I can do that. And I know some of you may be saying out there in the comments, I don't know, you may be saying, well, what about, triple shotgun or triple sniper or stuff like that? And it's just, you gotta understand, that's not a viable build. Triple shotgun and triple sniper isn't a viable build. It may be fun, yes, I admit it may be fun, but you gotta think about this. Is your fun, like a meme, you're just memeing around basically. Is your memeing around fun worth it in the end to have a flawed weapon system that just makes it difficult to run the type of weapons you want to use? Because to me it isn't. I don't feel like it's worth it. I don't feel like it is. And another argument might be, well, just wait until Bungie just evens them out and just adds enough shotguns and snipers and maybe even fusion rifles in the primary slot. But that's another problem because, like I said, it's more of a grind, and it requires more effort on Bungie's part to make more weapons, make the design, add in perks. Perks is a separate issue. I'm not gonna bring that up. That's an issue for another episode. But it just requires more effort on the player's end and on Bungie's end. And sometimes, grind is good. There's a type of grind that's fun, progressive. You get better rolls. But it's just not fun if you're gonna grind for the same weapon in two different slots. It just isn't. I don't feel like it is. And yeah. And if another issue is like, if Bungie doesn't add a weapon that you want, like let's say I got a really, really good Dust Rot Blues in my primary slot, but now I can't use, my God Roll, Midnight 2 with the Outlaw Rampage. Oh, sorry. You're just gonna have to wait till Bungie adds a 150 RPM in the secondary slot that you can get random rolls on. You're just kind of stuck. And so I feel like if it was reverted back to the old D1 system, it would be easier on the players, grind-wise. And I feel like it would be easier on Bungie, who they probably need it now, because they just split with Activision and they don't have as much manpower. So I feel like it would be better on the players and on Bungie if they just return back to that old example. So, in conclusion, I am suggesting that we go back to the old D1 system of primary weapon in the kinetic slot, so hand cannons, pulse rifles, auto rifles, not sidearms, because sidearms were in a secondary slot. So those type of weapons, I propose that they be put in the first slot. Secondary slot, shotguns, snipers, fusion rifles, sidearms, SMGs. And then the third slot, heavy slot, so machine guns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, swords, that type of stuff. And if any exotics that are too good to be in the second slot go down to the third slot, like Whisper, that kind of stuff. I think it would just be better all around. I think it would make the game a lot more simple, and I think it would make it easier. And so yeah, I really want to hear what you guys think. If you guys can think of a solution that might be easier, or something that might would be better for the game, make it more fun, more interesting, leave it down in the comments. I want to hear what you do. I want to hear what you guys think. If you agree with my opinion, disagree, just want to add some insight, leave it in the comments. I don't care. I might respond to it. I actually do like to get in on the conversation, because I feel like that's positive. That's good for Bungie. They need that kind of stuff. But that's it for me. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm tired.
Mob so icy, wonder why they kill me. I'm just mining in water, I just fell in a hole. Now I'm crying every server I go on. Yeah, it's inspiring. Minecraft, 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 Minecraft. I'm just mining. I just bought an account and now I'm playing. Diamond sword so heavy, I feel